On today's Technobabble, video streaming in the future.
This is Tech No Babble, your weekly source for church video and graphics news, perspectives, tips, and tricks. And now here's your host, Paul Clifford.
Hi and welcome everyone to another episode of Technobabble. I of course am your host, Paul Allen Clifford, and I would love for you to join the conversation. So head on over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/contact, or you can hit me up on Twitter. Paul Allen Cliff, PaulAllanclif is my Twitter handle, and I'm always happy to discuss things, say hi, answer your questions, what have you there. Well, first off, before we go any further, I'd like to acknowledge a little milestone that we're hitting here at Technobabble. Technobabble was started in 2005, and in 2006, 2007, 2008, I had shows each of those years. Then I 2009 and 2010, not so much. A little pod faded, which is what we call it when a podcast goes away. And then 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013, I did do shows. In 2013, I really got serious about it. So I think I might have missed 1 week in 2013, but other than that, spot on. So far, I'm batting 1,000 here in 2014, and this is the 100th show. So while I should have hit 100 shows back in 2006 or 2007, I've now done it now, so let's just consider that a nice little milestone, shall we? So let's get started talking about a couple of things. First off, I want to, since we're talking about streaming after all, I want to talk about churchstreaming.tv. Now, churchstreaming.tv is the streaming partner here at Technobabble. They provide all my streaming, so if you're curious what it looks like, this is an SD stream. That's right, it's 640 by 360, so it has the wide aspect ratio, but a lot of people assume that it's HD, and I would go HD if I had a better internet access here at the studio, but I don't right now. So the quality is not them, it is me. Now, churchstreaming.tv is really great when it comes to customer service. I sent off an email the other day because someone asked if they count online viewers or the in-person viewers when they're trying to make the determination of which package that you can pay for, because the package online says up to 2,000 people, but free bandwidth and everything like that. So I checked with them, and what they said is it's your congregation, the people in your in-person place. So if you are a church of less than 2,000 people, it's a flat rate pricing of only $99. And by a church of less than 2,000 people, they mean you've got around 2,000 or less people in the seats in your physical location every week. In that case, then it's a flat rate of $99 for streaming and That stream goes to iOS, Android, Roku. You can embed it on Facebook, which I need to figure out how to do. They've got countdowns, which if you've been to trinitydigitalmedia.com, the countdown to the shows, that's their countdown. I just embed it wherever I want it. They've also got a viewer map of who's watching right now, and it's just a great service with excellent customer service. So I'm really excited to give you this offer. The offer is for 1 month of free streaming, and that's not hobbled. You can only stream to like 2 people streaming. This is the same that you would pay for free, so you can try out every last bit of the service, including submitting your Roku channel if you want to, and that can be a little bit of a process. It took me 2 or 3 times sending it back into Roku before they approved all the things. They didn't want my face on the front cover, things like that. So you can do all that for free for 1 month by heading over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/church streaming and sign up there. And just to be forthright, I'll get a little something back, and you will get a free month of streaming. And if you like it, just keep going. Think of it this way: it's $25 a week on months with 4 Sundays. That's for most churches. Over 2,000 people in attendance, it jumps to $199. Again, still flat rate. And at 5,000, I think it is, you need to talk to them because they've got special pricing for mega churches. So this is a great opportunity for a lot of churches to get into streaming for not a lot of money and just have a great service. Now, speaking of great services, it could be the case that you don't know how to make a great service. So that's why I'm offering this, Creating Church, which Creating Church is a course that I'm offering. Myself, I'll be teaching it. There will be a live interactive component where you can ask questions. We can discuss the week's lesson. There are 28 lessons plus some bonus lessons. So it's actually like I'm offering to come to the Starbucks right by your house and talk to you for an hour and a half a week for the cost of a latte. If you want to think of it that way, that's basically what it is. So for almost no money, you can join this. And if you want to get a group together at your church to go through this material, I'll also sell the book separately, so you can do that as well. So just think about that as a possibility, that you can head over to Creating Church, that's creat.ingchurch.com. Yes, I did register Ing Church, given that all the titles of my books are something Ing Church. So I registered that, so it was free for me to add the create at the beginning. So creat.ingchurch.com. So let's get going with today's topic, shall we? So today's topic is live streaming in the future. Now, you might be thinking, well, we're already live streaming. What do you mean live streaming in the future? Well, here's what I imagine. I imagine that we are on the cusp of a time where over-the-air television really isn't all that special, where cable television really isn't all that special, where we'll be getting all our video content from the internet. Now, you might think, Paul, that's a little bit of a pipe dream. What do you mean getting all our content from the internet? Well, I have a Roku, which I bought because I've got a Roku channel, so it makes perfect sense that I would have one, because I needed to test it out and some stuff like that. Yeah, that was it. I needed to test it out. Yeah. And my family has just been amazed by how often we've used these things. So every night, well, when the kids get home from school, they don't turn on the local PBS, they turn on the PBS Kids app. And that's because the PBS Kids app has the ability to stream on demand. So they can watch the same shows that they like. In fact, they don't have to watch the shows that they don't like. They watch Wild Kratts over and over again, or Word Girl over and over again. These are some of their favorite shows. Or they go to the Disney Channel app, and the Disney Channel app, it doesn't even have the full thing. It just has clips, and still they love it and watch over and over and over again. So I think that the digital natives in our lives, our children, and those who are, well, younger than me, I'm 40, are going to see the internet as the way they get their television. And I think that that is the future. I think that there's not going to be a stigma of having an internet-only television channel. Right now, my Roku channel, which if you're curious about, if you just want to add it again, just go to trinitydigitalmedia.com/Roku, ROKU, and that will send you directly to the page to add it if you have a Roku and you're signed in on that same computer. And I'm right beside Twit, This Week in Tech, as a technology channel. Now, This Week in Tech makes millions of dollars a year, and I make less than that. But decidedly less than that. Like, almost not worth mentioning less than that. Because it's so much less than that. And I'm also right beside Fox. So in one moment, I can decide to watch Almost Human on Fox and then switch over to watching me, or switch over to watching Leo Laporte and the gang on This Week in Tech, or go to Crackle and watch movies or old television shows, or go to Hulu Plus, or go to Amazon streaming, or go to Netflix. So I have the ability of going between all these things, and little old me, who records in a small room, is on parity with the big guys. So that's the first thing. I think that in the future there will be no stigma with being internet only, and in fact I think we're kind of already almost there, but just for the future I think that that's definitely something that we're going to see. We're also going to see that it's going to be something that everyone does, right? So while 10 years ago churches were asking, should we get a screen and projector? And now a lot of churches are asking, okay, we got one, but we really need to make it more prominent. I'm seeing a lot of more traditional churches move it from the side, from one in the side where it's just kind of an add-on to front and center, or ones on each side, right? So we're seeing a move from should we get a projector and screen to where should we prominently feature our projector and screen. We're seeing that move. Well, in the future, I think we're not going to have the discussion, should we stream? I think the discussion is, how can we make our stream better? So we'll see a lot of churches streaming, a lot of them. They'll be available all the same places that you can get movies and television shows right now. You'll see them on Roku, you'll see them on Apple TV, and that's a bit of a prediction because right now Apple TV is pretty closed down. But you will see them on Apple TV, I think. I think that Apple TV will open up the podcasting portion so that you can subscribe to individual channels, but you'll be able to subscribe to a live stream. I think that some of the issues surrounding live streaming, like copyright, will be sorted out, and YouTube, for example, which right now If you use Hangouts on Air or if you use YouTube live streaming, they're very likely to block you if you're singing anything other than public domain music. They'll just tell you, sorry, this is copyrighted stuff, you're not allowed to use it, even if you have a license that allows you to use it. So I think those issues will get sorted out. I think that the price will continue to drop, which I'm sad for my friends at churchstreaming.tv and worship channels and some of the other companies that do this, because the price will continue to drop, but then again, so will their costs. So will the need for technical support, because it's going to get easier and easier. We'll talk about that in a second. And the number of churches willing to do this is going to increase. So it'll come down to who provides the best service, who provides the best value, who makes it the easiest to do this. And I think it's just going to get easier and easier. Let me tell you a quick story. I love telling stories, as you might know. Back in 2005, I was keynoting at the first churchmedia.net national convention, and they had all kinds of trouble live streaming. Just couldn't get it to work behind the hotel's firewall, and it just wasn't pleasant whatsoever. Well, fast forward to today, that's not an issue. I could go there with my laptop, hook up a webcam like my Logitech webcam that I'm using right now, and I could do it no problem. Hook in sound from the soundboard, it would be gorgeous. No problem. And I could use Wirecast as I am right now to put in lower thirds, full screens. I could put in slides, things like that. And that would be pretty sweet and fairly easy. I think that we're only going to see more software like Wirecast, which turn your computer into a video switcher. I think it's going to get easier and easier to use. I think we're going to have control surfaces that basically make it into a video switcher. Right now, I am using this. This is a USB gaming controller, and I can use that because I've got some software that allows me to plug in keystrokes for each of the buttons. I'm using that as my control surface, and I think that before long it will be a more intuitive, more broadcast-like control surface, and you'll be able to get into this for a couple of $100, including the control surface, because basically it's a circuit board with a chip on it. There's no reason why a control surface, in fact, as I say, this one cost me $20 on eBay. So I could absolutely hack this with better buttons and have a better control surface. In fact, that's one of the things that I'd love to do. So that's some of the things that I think are coming in the future. It will be cheaper to do, it will be easier to do, everyone will be doing it, and what that means to you and your church is start planning now. Start planning now for where you're going to put the cameras, how you're going to fit people into your worship space, what you're going to do to get the best product you can, because that's how you'll differentiate. It used to be the case that only the big churches had a television ministry. Then we had public access, and some churches that really didn't have the money to spend were doing it. In fact, my favorite story is about one local here in Lexington, Kentucky, where they had a camera on a tripod, and only the pastor had a mic, but it was like a men's Bible study. So whenever the pastor was talking, you'd hear them loud and clear. But anytime someone else was talking, they had the camera on a tripod, but it was like a $10 cheapy tripod. So you'd see the image go, here, I'm going to make it look like it would look. You'd see the image go, do, 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 do. So if you're watching the video, the image just shook. So you'd see the image shake as they would pan over to whoever was talking, and you'd just barely hear them. They'd be talking very, very like this. But they were speaking in full voice. No one had thought to put a shotgun mic on the camera so that whoever it was pointed to, you would see them. Instead, they were just depending on a lavalier mic on the pastor, which really wasn't enough. So I think we're going to see streaming that's like that, where churches just are not putting in the time, the money, the effort to do it right. And so little churches that have someone who used to work in television will far outpace big churches that have nice equipment but don't know how to use it. So you'll see things like that in the future. So I want you to start planning today. Start thinking, okay, when the copyright issues get sorted out and there's no excuse to not do video on YouTube other than that we don't have a camera, what are you going to do? When the cameras of today that are shooting at 1080p, when those broadcast cameras get as cheap as SD broadcast cameras on eBay, and you can put them up anywhere, what are you going to do? When the switchers get that inexpensive, when the software on computers, and the computers that you buy are as fast as the current Mac Pro, which is, from what I hear, you can't build a computer for as inexpensively as the Mac Pro is selling for, because it's got such high-end chips that the chips themselves cost like $1,500 each. So the introductory $3,000 one, those are less expensive chips, but you're almost paying for it just in the processors before you get the motherboard, hard drive, etc. Although technically it's not a hard drive because it's on the PCI Express bus. All that to say, imagine when all computers are that fast, and so you don't think twice about putting video switching software on it. You just buy your computer, you put video switching software on it, you plug in your computers over a Thunderbolt connection, and you can plug in 2 or 3 cameras with HDMI or SDI coming into that Thunderbolt connection with a little adapter, and you've got a 1080p service for $500. Imagine that time. It's coming. Like the time when, back in 2005, 2006, I said, what happens when your camera phone shoots better video than a professional video camera does today? I'd like to introduce you to the iPhone 4S. It shoots better video than the cameras that I worked with in local television in the early 2000s. So in 2003, I was working in local television. We had SD cameras. This is an HD camera. Now, I don't have as much control, but the image is beautiful when everything is working right. So it's all a matter of time before we get to that point where it's cheap, it's easy, and everyone's doing it. So how you separate yourself is how well you do it. And how well you do it is how you'll go out and change eternity. So until next time, I'm Paul Allen Clifford with TrinityDigitalMedia.com.